Hello again. This is the last week of June. Moving on into April. April. July. What the hell? I had July in my head and April just came out. I don't know why. Anywho, that little screw up aside, let's get to the goals. So, let's start brushing teeth and going to bed. I've actually done both of those pretty well. So far throughout the entire month, I have not gone to bed, gone to my actual bed, like 3 times. I've only ever slept out here in the living room 3 times. So, I'd say overall that's been a rousing success. Only on like fringe or small occasions do I actually end up staying out here. So, I'd say that that goal was pretty much done, or at least I can advance. Uh, Next up, teeth. I don't need to tell you this. I'm doing great. I'm doing perfectly fine in terms of teeth. I'm doing really good in terms of caring for them. Uh, Nothing quite like the scare of a cavity to make you brush your teeth more vehemently. At least that is for me anyway. And then we have porn. I've been making predictions this whole month of how I'm gonna fail. I did. I mean, I'm not happy to say I failed, but at the same time, I'm kind of indifferent to it. I knew it was going to happen. It was a sort of inevitability, right? I was trying to fight against a force of entropy, which, while it's a great way of exercising will, it's not really a good fight to be had. It's gonna happen. So, yeah. And not just because of that, but surrounding the failure, I have come up with quite a few ideas, and I might elaborate on this later, but I really know that I haven't been doing absolutely everything that I could to help. Right, I think the program works perfectly fine, but the reason I did end up failing here is because I didn't do everything that I could. In a sense, the program wasn't enough. I needed to do other things. I know that going outside, wasting energy, and just, well, talking to other people can very easily curb these feelings, can very easily curb these urges. And I just, as I've been very vocal about, I haven't been doing any of that. I'm still like incredibly reclusive, and I have nothing going on. I have a very short list of friends, so, and the ones that I do have that I could reach out to and actually go meet, I'm not letting myself do because of a level of anxiety that I really don't want to be there and really wish wasn't there. So that that kind of sucks. Good for me that I'm going to actually start working on that next month, though. I don't wanna. Uh, I don't wanna continue like I am because I'm just gonna keep failing and failing. I'm just gonna keep pushing the boulder up to the same spot instead of at least pushing it a little further. It's a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again with no alterations. Boom. Go insane. Which, yeah, and I've also decided at the time when I was contemplating my failure, not even my failure before that, I actually decided to do the math on how much I'm allowed to do it in a week instead of just in a day. And since I want to reduce the amount I do per day, it'd be better to stick to how much I can do in a week. And I realize that based off the data I have from before this phase 4 of it, I was capable of doing, I think, since it was four times four, that's like 21, and then yeah, 21, and then I take a day out and then go down in the amount I can use. Immediately, that's down to 9, which is a pretty big jump. And I sort of realized that maybe I should have allowed myself instead to sort of change up the plan, or maybe I should have done this from the beginning where I essentially allow myself to do it every single day, but I can only do it a set amount of times that day, and then actually sort of cut down days once I hit once per day until nothing's left. Which, yeah, um, that's exactly what I should have done to start with. It was one of those ideas that I had while I was contemplating quitting. I never actually did it though because, well, it was a time when I was intellectualizing my suffering, and when I was actually coming up with a plan for it, I was just using the most ready information in my head. So I kind of just pulled this one out of the archives, and I'm gonna start doing this now, where instead I'll just let myself do it two times a day with the side goal. This one's just gonna stay in my head, but the side goal of just doing it once a day, which I mean, so far it's been working really well. So I have a feeling I just got to let myself have this amount of time and sort of cut down. Also, another contributing factor to why I failed so readily, um, there is a there is an effect that if you're vehemently doing it like every day, multiple times a day, like I was before this, that has effect on your body when you go dry, where essentially you start feeling pain in your testicles because, well, you're producing more sperm than you're letting out, and so you start feeling pain there. As a guy who's felt like close to testicular torsion multiple times, it really fooled me into thinking that. I'm glad I read up on it, otherwise I would have had a doctor's visit that would have been fucking embarrassing. But yeah, it's that was starting to happen. I don't quite know why. Maybe it really was just the drop down, but it feels like it should have happened earlier, especially since I already did a full month of this. But eh, maybe it's because I was actually starting to drop down a little more. I don't know. Either way, I was feeling that, and so I kind of was encouraged to fail a lot easier. That, along with not doing everything that I can, it just kind of encouraged the failure that I ended up, having. So I'm not gonna let it get me down. I'm gonna try a different approach, one that allows me to sort of ease back into the program a lot better, as well as start working on other bigger issues that don't just apply to in this house. Because yeah, I gotta come out one day. At the very least, I can start now. I wonder who that is. Oh man. Anywho, um, I guess that also marks my first failure of the program, which isn't bad. I have a wealth of knowledge that I can utilize to hopefully not fail again. So let's go ahead and keep that up. Plus, if I ever do fall into something like this, or maybe even have another thing, I have sort of I have knowledge on what I could do to sort of ease myself away from that thing. You know, train myself to be strong enough. Please go away, Loki. I'm doing something. Um, train myself to be strong enough to not rely on it. Which, yeah, a major part of the pornography addiction is because I can't even relieve myself without porn anymore. I have to have it, which is just depressing. It just makes me sad. Uh, I guess aside from that, all we've got left is how I've been feeling, and I don't know. I guess I've just been feeling fine. Nothing too out of the ordinary, really. Just completely fine. I haven't made any progress on my to-do list. And honestly, again, the to-do list is less of just things I have to do and more things I'd like to do. So, you know, I can scratch things off of this whenever I need to. It's really not that big of an issue. So I'm not really too worried about that. Some and it'll probably end up changing a lot depending on my priorities. Ugh. Ugh. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and have a bit of fun with it. I haven't made the July portion, which I should do since there's only 4 days left. I think I'm gonna make it on Sunday. Sunday is typically a good day to make something like that, but um, I have obviously I have the sort of overarching life goals that I can easily put down there. I'm gonna stop with the whole sleeping progression thing because again, there are other things I can do first that can help me with a sleep schedule, and they might also help me actually like come to a sleep schedule that works. Plus, it might also change when I brush my teeth, shit like that. So it's probably better to focus more on actually going outside, accustomizing myself to life outside of a house, outside of a little safe space. Essentially, I won't have a place to. Well, I guess there's plenty of places to hide outside, but I will be relatively out in the open for a guy whose biggest experience with actually going outside was just going to school and maybe like going shopping with my parents sometimes. It's yeah. I'm a reclusive fella. I'd like to not be a reclusive fella anymore. I'd like to actually go out. Plus, as another plus, it'll help with the overconsumption idea because I have been thinking about that a lot, and I have been overconsuming a lot. Sure, some of it is very helpful, but it doesn't really matter how helpful it is when you're not using that information for anything. So I've been trying to work on that. That's sort of a background goal for me that I'm just kind of thinking of sort of incorporating into my life a little more while I work on what I consider to be major stuff in here. But yeah, I'm gonna scrap the sleeping one. I'm obviously gonna keep the porn and brushing teeth with porn being altered a little bit, but the sleeping one I'm definitely gonna just scrap for now. Put it on the back burner, and I'm gonna go ahead and focus more on just being outside in the first place because it's pretty it's pretty hard to actually adapt to the outside when you're so used to this really comfortable indoor environment, especially when I live in a desert and I'm doing it at arguably one of the worst times to do it, which is summer, especially here in where I live, because it gets like hell. We're gonna get well over 120 in these summers. It's gonna go wild. Also, as an aside to that, I've kind of been working on that by just going out and doing some chores. There was one bag of gravel that I kind of just left out because I didn't think I needed to. I'm using it for something. It's it's getting used. It's really good work for just outside. I also have to do dog poop every Monday, so I'm not too like unacclimated, but you know, I clearly can't handle myself outside for long, and when I see other people, that whole anxiety thing kind of just yeah. Maybe I'm overblowing it. I don't know, I'd need experience to tell you if I am, but yeah, right now, this is just how I'm gonna do things. Once I have that down, I will work on a sleep schedule and sort of go based off of what I have there. Just have a good time getting not better, just becoming normal, I guess. Becoming less online. Nah, just becoming a person, like an actual person, and not just some bot who sits in his home and does really nothing. It really does feel like that sometimes, just on autopilot doing absolutely nothing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. I have a conscious mind for a reason. I can think, so I am, so I may as well act like I am. Anywho, no more philosophical ramblings. I will start working on the next month's pages, like I said on Saturday, and then on that Friday, I'll go ahead and inform this log about what I'm doing, how I may be progressing, yada yada, what the week feels like. Also, um, for context, next week I'm probably not going to be doing it in the living room or making the video in the living room. Either I'll be making it outside or in my bedroom because we're having, yeah, we're having family come over and, well, I kind of try to keep the recording of these private. I've shared with two of my friends already that I make video logs like this. So I try to keep the recording of these private. If anybody wants to see my thoughts, they can go online. Otherwise, I'd prefer not to have any level of performance anxiety because it's just supposed to be me talking to, well, me. So, anywho, I will see myself next time.